Wall Street investors are stealing from small local governments, and they're also stealing from the Pentagon and from governments across the world. It's impossible to gin up much sympathy for the Pentagon these days, but the result is the same. Hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons that won't be built for years, even though they've already been paid for. And the rank and file aren't taking home giant paychecks, even though they're in a critical industry when everyone is on a war footing. Jobs in defense are becoming less attractive. Turnover in defense and aerospace was 13% in 2023, 4 times the economy at large. And defense contractors report that they're unable to find qualified employees. But that's because the money is already gone to pay back Wall Street investors. An entry-level position at Lockheed Martin earns $15.45 an hour. By comparison, Buc-ee's gas station offers starting pay for guys at $20 an hour cleaning bathrooms. Buc-ee's starting pay for washing cars is $21 per hour. If you've never heard of Buc-ee's, they're an institution in the American South, and they're famous for having some of the cleanest bathrooms around. And that's not made up either. So to the Swiss government, who's wondering why nobody is around to get Patriot missiles built, good chance that the machinists who were working on them took a job at the Happy Beaver gas station instead for higher pay. And good chance also they sleep better at night after a long day of cleaning bathrooms and cars instead of building things that go boom in Ukraine or Gaza the next day after shipping them out. So today all these problems are hitting at once. The Ukraine war is against what they call a near-peer nation with deep industrial capabilities. And if we think of Russia as a near-peer for industry and production, we need to invent new language for what China represents if push comes to shove with the Chinese. So now Lockheed and their peers need to build more weapons and build them faster. And that's a problem for the contractors. They need to invest giant pools of money to build up supply chains and train workers, but that means less free cash flow available to pay investors. And in the case of Lockheed, that second mandate, rewarding company investors, they're eating their seed corn. Lockheed line managers are reminded that they need to be constantly leaner, cutting costs and time and people. This is from a case study on Lockheed Martin on the EPA website, and it ironically is celebrating Lockheed's cost-cutting and layoffs in its hazardous waste operations. It's their LM21 Operating Excellence Initiative program for implementation of lean management systems. When this report was published, Lockheed claims net savings of over $5 billion, most of which are passed through to our customers. That part certainly is not true anymore, if it ever was. The report goes a few pages, but the final results are here. Lockheed facilities for manufacturing were shrunk by over a third. For chemical storage, the company went from using 64,000 square feet to just 1,200. Over there in the benefits and concerns column, it says significant cost savings, but minimum room for future growth. About 2/3 of the employees in the division were laid off, and those who are still on the job have no backup support if one of them goes to work for Buc-ee's. This case study is on a website of the American government, and they're congratulating a major defense contractor for closing manufacturing centers and laying off employees. There is not a single person from Beijing or Moscow or Tehran involved here. It's American executives of American companies. In 2023, Lockheed had $6.2 billion in free cash flow, but gave their investors $9.2 billion in cash and stock. That extra $3 billion then came from new borrowing and spending down cash reserves. But on the operations side, Lockheed cut 1% of its workforce. All that, layoffs and selling buildings used for manufacturing, and cutting jobs in hazardous waste divisions, and layoffs company-wide. These are suggestive of a company in deep trouble, but these companies are making more money than ever. To emphasize again, these results are from 2023 and 2024. These companies even then had order backlogs in the hundreds of billions of dollars each from the Pentagon and from friendly countries. At the same time, the top managers of these companies were gutting their own industrial capacity, laying off their own best technicians, and draining their own cash reserves to hand over giant pools of capital to Wall Street. Now, China's cut them off from the raw materials they need to build anything, and they don't have any money or people left to do anything about it. This is Meow Village in Guizhou. Be good.